It's time to fuel your ambitions by taking charge of your student debt. At SoFi, we've helped over 250,000 people refinance their student loans, saving thousands of dollars. Now you can pay off your student loans faster and reach your goals sooner. See how much you can save in just 2 minutes at SoFi.com/save.
Big cities. Big names. Big legacies. Big sisters and brothers. Big ideas. Big expectations. Big stage. Big results. That's the Big East way.
Hallelujah.
And this is just one night. You should see what we do during the day. Marquette University. Be the difference.
Well, good afternoon and welcome to Chappie Field here at Anderson Stadium in Providence, home of the Providence College Friars, as they get set to open Big East tournament play against the 6th seed Marquette Golden Eagles. I'm Mike Mancuso, joined today by John Fanta. And John, a matchup that it's been pretty intense over the past couple of meetings earlier this season. Surely one of those.
An early red card in the first encounter between Providence and Marquette back on October 12th, and the Friars ended up rolling 2-0. Both coaches said you got to throw out the game plans from that matchup. This Providence team, red hot. Over the last 4 matches, all wins. They've outscored their opponents 9-3. They look like, as the 3 seed in this tournament, as good as the top 2 seeds with the way they're playing right now. That was shown earlier this week when the Friars commanded St. John's. And so the test is a big one for Louis Bennett's Marquette team, but the Golden Eagles just a year ago made it to Big East Championship Sunday. So a ton of intrigue to this first round showdown.
And they do return a lot of those veterans from that team that made the Big East final a season ago. Now it's time to send it on down to the 3rd member of our team here today on the Big East Digital Network, Megan Caffrey, who's at field level with some more information.
Thanks, Mike. Providence is riding a 4-game win streak coming into today's match. However, Friars head coach Craig Stewart told us you really have to hit the reset button when it comes into Big East tournament play. It's a knockout format, win or go home, and that reset really holds true for these 2 teams specifically. In their last regular season matchup, they didn't get into a normal game of full 11s because Marquette was playing with a man down for 80 minutes. And Golden Eagles head coach Louis Bennett told us he really was able to see his team's ability to fight through adversity in that match, something that's been important for the Golden Eagles all season and will continue to play a huge role here in the postseason.
And thank you, Megan. That was some great information there. And it's true, you know, Marquette has faced a lot of adversity this season, illness, injuries, all kinds of things going on, but they're here. They needed a little help to get to the tournament They got it last weekend from a Seton Hall loss and their victory over DePaul, a place where they hadn't won since 2002. So I think Coach Bennett feeling pretty good that this team's starting to use that mojo in their favor and hoping to take down the Friars here this afternoon.
I'm fascinated to see if Marquette can get their style. Coach Bennett told us one of the keys to this match was to attack with exuberance. Louis lacks no exuberance. He has it all the time. So for his team, can they echo that and try to put numbers forward? What they have to be most careful of, though, and he told us this was in that moment where they put those numbers forward and take that risk, because that's what it's going to take to win here at the Chap today. Are they organized on Providence counterattack? Because that could determine the result of today's match.
Absolutely. And, of course, on the other side for Coach Stewart and his Friars, they really just want to impose their own style. They don't want to let Marquette get comfortable with their possession-based game. And, you know, they just want to do what they do well. They defend well. They're able to get numbers forward when they need to. They build out of the back. Both coaches realizing that they're going to have to impose their style on today's game. So we'll turn our attention now to the starting lineups for this afternoon. We'll begin with the Marquette Golden Eagles, and not a ton of surprises there for Coach Bennett, who's had to utilize 21 different field players as starters throughout the course of this season. But they will be going with the sophomore from Germany, Cedric Stern, in between the pipes. And the 10 field players in front of him will be Christian Albello, Patrick Segrist, of course, turning in another phenomenal campaign, coming off first-team All-Big East honors last year, and all the way on down through the lineup, a very talented side for the Golden Eagles.
Josh Cohen, Patrick Segrist, Connor Alba, Lucas Sunison, all players that were instrumental in the run of the Big East title game last year for this Golden Eagles side. You'll see them move quite a bit off the ball. It's what they like to do. There's a sensational build-up to what Marquette does. The Golden Eagles in their navy blue, and on the other side for this Providence team, just such an organized group, and as of late, they're red hot.
Yeah, and really no surprises there for Coach Stewart. We'll turn our attention now to the Friars. Austin Avisa, the redshirt senior out of Midway, Massachusetts. He'll get the starting nod once again. He started every single game and has played almost every minute for the Friars in goal. Comes in with a sparkling .90 goals against and a .706 save percentage. In front of him, talent all the way across the field from front to back. Christopher Roman, João Serrano, Paulo Lima, who's had some spectacular goals over the course of this season, Thiago Mendonça, Danny Griffin, Trevor DeVoe, Espen Wolf, Malcolm Duncan, Ramsey Kawasmi, and Kevin Vang, rounding out the starting 11 for head coach Craig Stewart today. So with this first half about to start, Providence from left to right in the home whites, gray striping, black numerals, Marquette, the road navies, and golden numerals will be advancing from right to left.
And St. John's at home watching.
St. John's certainly, I'm sure, licking their chops at a possible rematch with the Friars, but hey, they would love another game. It doesn't matter really who, but that big one on Wednesday right here in Providence, the Friars coming out on top in that one 2-0 in a game where St. John's just didn't look in sync at all over the course of that contest.
That's a big layer to this match, and now the Big East tournament is Providence is 30 in the RPI, Mike, after that win over St. John's, who came in at number 4 in the latest report.
Yeah, and of course Providence, not only playing for a chance to meet with St. John's in the Big East semifinals, but of course trying to play themselves into the NCAA tournament if they can't come out on top with the Big East title. Every team in the Big East ahead of 77 or higher in the RPI. The conference has been amazing this year. So much talent from top to bottom.
This is what the league's coaches discuss, as Marquette will have a free kick opportunity from distance. But when they meet, they talk about what they can do to raise the bar. And this year, all 10 programs in a certain way, shape, or form raised the bar, and it has collectively put the Big East right up there at the top of the country, number 2 in RPI, with 2 of the top 4 teams, Georgetown and St. John's.
So here we go. It'll be a restart here in a pretty good spot, about 30 yards out for the Golden Eagles. Josh Cohn, who leads the team in goals and points, 6 goals, 4 assists on the season. 7th in the conference in points. He'll chip it up towards the 18. Headed away by Thiago Mendonça, but right onto the foot of Selmeron. And all the way back now, Mersberger for his netminder Stern. He'll quickly outlet for Selmeron. Segrist now picked up by Christopher Roman. Up ahead it comes and deflected out of bounds by Malcolm Duncan.
Marquette, a quick-paced team. The movement is aesthetically pleasing. If you're a soccer purist, you love what Louis Bennett puts together on the field. I mean, there's just constant moving pieces and parts in this Marquette attack.
Sunnison now works towards the 18, able to get around a couple of Friars, still continuing to possess. Lima will lay it back for Serrano, who aways it towards midfield. DeVoke there trying to collect for the Friars. Griffin involved as well. His body's flying all over the place right in front of the official, and play continues. Malcolm Duncan now ahead for Mendonça. The Friars very content to work it across the back line, and looks like Marquette's going to implement a little bit of extra pressure up top to try to disrupt that build-up by the Friars. DeVoke now towards the corner, has it knocked aside by a charging Leo Villa. And it'll stay with the Friars on the near side. Goal kick upcoming now for Marquette. And they'll use the short option almost right on the end line. You don't see that too often. Mendonça now able to settle. On his back is Luca Perpa.
Well, and if you're not trying to disrupt Providence's offense, the way that they've been churning out opportunities offensively over the last 4 games with 9 goals, Marquette has to try something different. Both coaches talked about it. When you see each other for a second time around in the Big East postseason, you need to throw wrinkles in.
Mendonça able to steal at top of the box, works his way inside, has DeVoke, and slid away at the last second. Well-timed challenge from Leo Villa, the senior from Green Bay, Wisconsin, as the Friars looking dangerous in the opening couple of minutes.
We asked Craig Stewart, when a player is on, a certain player is on, how does that switch you to another gear? And he said, when Thiago Mendonça's on, we hit another level. The redshirt senior from Portugal just now with a good run after getting the ball right back. He is an impact player, and you have to mark him wherever he is on the field. It feels like there's more than one of them at times with the way that he makes an impact on the game.
Yeah, the ground he covers during the course of a match, he is all over the place. First teamer last year, preseason, all Big East this year. Nice little heel pass. Danny Griffin now from DeVoke. Griffin into the 18, gets the end line, puts it across, and knocked aside by Luca Perpa. And again, the Marquette defense a little bit nervy back there in the opening 5 minutes. Providence with a couple of dangerous opportunities, but unable to get that finishing strike.
How about DeVoke with the heel pass? That was tremendous.
Trevor DeVoke, of course, played most of his career at Boston College, but this year as a redshirt senior has come in and really added some flavor to this Providence lineup. And certainly a spicy guy out there on the pitch, able to create and use his fantastic speed. So the Friars will chuck it in. It'll be DeVoke trying to target Mendonça, headed away by, to be Segrist who got up in that one. Vang now keeping it alive. Espen Wolf trying to track it down, but Vang able to knock it back for Serrano. Now Vang able to dance around one, gets around another, takes some space towards the 18, but just lost the handle. And no foul called there, as it looked like they were going to get Ramsey Kawasmi. Instead, now Mendonça with it on his foot. He'll leave it wide for DeVoke. Patience here by the Friars. They work it inside just over the head of Kawasmi, who's cheated all the way back up from his center back position. Vang looking for Kawasmi again, and now the other way. Marquette will lead Sunnison. Sunnison trying to get around Malcolm Duncan.
How about the pace in these opening minutes?
Pretty much what you would expect from a tournament game. These two teams delivering already in the first 6 minutes of play here in Providence. And Mike Mancuso alongside John Fanta. Glad you could join us here on the Big East Digital Network, presented by SoFi. First shot on goal, not much on it, a little bit of English, but easily handled by the netminder Austin Aviza, as that first bid put in by Luca Perpa.
Luca Perpa's built for the postseason. He's a big game player. He had some space, actually, before he took the shot. I think Coach Bennett, he would tell him, let it rip. That's the way Marquette has to play. You're the 6th seed in this tournament. You're the underdog. The Golden Eagles, they can play that role and play it well. Last year might have been surprising to some when they were sitting there on Championship Sunday, just 90 minutes away from NCAA tournament bid, but it didn't surprise Louis Bennett.
And it really hasn't been an easy season at all for Marquette. They certainly needed a lot of help heading into the final game. They needed to win on the road at a place they hadn't won since 2002, being DePaul. Then they needed Seton Hall to lose as well, which did happen. So it's almost like they're playing with house money at this point.
To Villanova, who was the bottom feeder in the league.
So a lot of surprises on Wednesday night. Some might say a surprise for Providence to knock off St. John's 2-0, but Coach Stewart feeling that he wasn't too shocked by it. Feels like his guys have really been playing well to form lately, and it's more of the same. The header towards the net, and that one not missing by much. Dangerous bid there by Marquette, as getting ahead on it was Connor Alba. And all of a sudden, Marquette looking like the more dangerous team here.
Both teams have been very connected in their possession, while Providence, 8 minutes in, has had more sustained possession. When the Golden Eagles have been able to get it into the attacking third, they've put together some intriguing opportunities in the early goings here. I think that the key to this match is what Marquette can do defensively to find a way to disrupt Providence a little bit, because the Friars are more than comfortable with possessing in their back line. And that really rattles teams at times, Mike, because you're not used to teams playing like that, but Providence, ever so patient.
It really starts in the back with João Serrano, Kawasmi, those guys so comfortable back there. They're not afraid to use their netminder as well. As another sustained attack here by Marquette. They work it towards the corner, put across the net, but Austin Aviza able to sky up and grab that one. Dangerous looking cross that time from Patrick Segrist.
Aviza, so steady in goal. They are really happy with the work rate that he's been able to produce at. And he was all over that cross. They were looking to go to that back post, see if they could flare it over him. Marquette with great tempo. This is fun soccer to watch, and it's the soccer that the Big East has put up collectively as a league all season long.
Yeah, they certainly have. Each game so entertaining to watch, so many quality players.
You've had thrillers here.
We've had some good ones here for sure. Paulo Lima with some of the most acrobatic and athletic goals you'll see over the course of the season. He's been tremendous, and you know, it's kind of interesting. He's basically a defensive midfielder as well, so for him to get up there is going down awkwardly on the far side. I believe it was Vang, as he is a little bit hobbled. And Vang, who has been in the starting lineup a little bit more in the second half of the season, has really earned that spot in the starting 11, the sophomore out of Cranston, Rhode Island. A little bit of a spark plug with a ton of speed out there and very deceptive as well. Christopher Roman now will survey the scene. Tried to split the D, but getting in the way that time was Perpa. And now Marquette will build from the back.
Nicely done by Perpa. Good defensive presence in that situation. Providence has put some really strong runs together, but for Marquette, they've got to settle in. Try to build their way through the midfield now.
And again, even though they've already met once this season, this is really like the first meeting between the two, because Marquette went down a man in the 10th minute in the first meeting, which totally changed the complexion of that game. And Vang now, after trying to give it a go out there, he's just going to have to sit on the turf as he is in some discomfort out there. So the Friars will be forced to make the first change of the match. We'll see who Coach Stewart decides to get off the bench. As the clock stopped here with 34:29 left in the first half, the training staff will come out to take a look at Kevin Vang. And the Friars will get somebody up off the bench soon here to replace him. It's looking like he's bothered on his left lower leg.
Yeah. He was favoring that left leg as he tried to get back into a rhythm in running and just could not establish any sort of a tempo.
So I wouldn't be surprised for them to bring in perhaps Gil Santos, the sophomore from Portugal. One of 4 Portuguese players on this Providence side. Santos usually comes in a little bit later in the half and has great speed as well, and often comes in as a little spark plug to add a little bit of energy and excitement into the lineup. Today he'll be called upon a little bit earlier than usual, as Vang able to get off on his own power, but if you're the Friars, you hate to see one of your guys go down early.
Absolutely, in this time of year as well, where the winner of this match then has to go to Queens, and if you want to continue, you might have to go to Georgetown to come out with a conference title. It's daunting enough to have to go to Belson Stadium, nor alone Shaw Field potentially. Those two teams with a combined 27 wins.
Yeah, well, it looks like Santos is going to head to the bench again, and it's going to be Kevin Vang back out on the pitch as the fourth official, able to let him on. So Vang's going to give it a go and stay out there. You imagine it's going to take a lot for these guys to have to come off unless they absolutely have to. This is what they play for all season long.
It's what you work for in August when it's 90 degrees out, and the summer in the Northeast it just seemed like it went on forever, the amount of 90-degree days over the course of August and even September.
Yeah, even, like you said, some of those late September games when the Friars went down to Georgetown, temperatures in the 90s, ridiculous humidity. I mean, they have some of those extra hydration breaks in that one. It was so hot. And now today, this one's starting in the 30s. So welcome to New England soccer.
Thanks
Soccer
for having
along
me.
the East Coast. John, we know you've been busy. You were just in Omaha the other day calling the women's Final Four for the Big East.
I seem to be going with the cold front throughout the country.
So the Friars trying to get it going as Mendonca's pushed down from behind. And we'll get the call that time. Restart here for the Friars. And all of a sudden, this game is going to slow down a little bit from those exciting opening 10 minutes or so.
And I think Providence noticed what Marquette can do in a quick-paced game. You saw that they were able to create. So Providence has to monitor that.
Getting in front of the defense was Danny Griffin, and he might get a talking to for putting that one on frame after the whistle. But offsides, they call that time on the Friars.
It's not as simple as tempo because you have to be able to possess efficiently. But if Providence gets this game slowed down, it's a big advantage to them just based on the styles of these two teams. Marquette loves an open field type of game, getting out wide and sending services in. We've already seen a few here that have been somewhat dangerous. And so the Friars resetting things and going through their back line, that's one area that they can expose Marquette in a little bit just because the Golden Eagles have been so banged up at the center back position this year.
Yeah, I mean, they've gone through already 5 or 6 different men at the center back position. And obviously, coaches like to rely on maybe 1 or 2 at the most over the course of a year. So to go 5 or 6 deep has been a challenge for Coach Bennett and his staff to find those guys. But the men that they've put back there have stood tall and have helped earn them this spot in the Big East tournament as the Friars now work it up that far side. Mendonca again hit from behind. He's taken a couple of hits, and you can hear Coach Stewart below us bellowing out, "Come on, sir." There's been a couple of hits from behind that have gone on. We've seen a lot of play on as play continues into the Providence third. Segrist works his way towards the corner and knocks it off of Duncan. Duncan's going to try to say that it was already out, but corner kick has been awarded now to Marquette. Another dangerous opportunity for the Golden Eagles.
This is a strong start for the visiting Golden Eagles. They've come out, really good build-up, generating chances. Now they get their reward with the first corner.
They'll send it in towards the net. Punched away by Avisa, and then further away by Christopher Roman. He settled into midfield this time by Merzberger. Pops it towards the 18. Segrist got a glancing header, but Serrano there to clear it away. Stepping up again, though, Merzberger sends it deep, and this one will result in a goal kick for the Friars. Austin Avisa will set this one up as the Friars will try to get something going, try to connect a couple of passes and start building those attack from the back again.
This is a 3-6 first-round game, but if you just watch the first 15 minutes, you could throw out any notion of seeding. And in this conference where you've got 4 teams in the top 32 of the national RPI and all 10 are inside the top 77, forget the seeds. It's just about getting here.
Well, and that's really how the whole season has gone. I mean, you look at, earlier, Providence losing to DePaul, Marquette beating DePaul to get here, Providence beating St. John's. I mean, any given day, any given night in this conference, all the way up and down from 1 to 10, any team could really knock off another.
Well said, and I thought that was shown when Marquette took on St. John's back on October 4th, and St. John's rolled past them 4-0. St. John's had not scored a goal against Marquette in 8 years. They scored 4 that night.
Yeah, certainly on fire, and certainly so much offensive firepower on that St. John's team. As the Friars work it to Lima, he'll switch field. Serrano joining the fun in the offensive third. Serrano towards the top of the 18. Wants to get it wide to Wolf. Gets there off the defender. Wolf now, who had a goal the other night, has Serrano. Serrano left foots it across, and there for the tip in, but the miss was Danny Griffin, who somehow sent it back the other way. They had Stern beat. And the Marquette Golden Eagles dodge a huge bullet here.
There's nothing that Stern could have done there. He was back towards the near post, wide open net for Griffin.
Vang keeps it alive for DeVoe across. The chance for Mendonça. Tried to go horizontal that time, but broken up by the defense. It squirts on out to Sunnison. Sunnison now with just one to beat, trailed by a couple of Friars as well. Sunnison continues to take space into the 18. Gets around Kawasmi, but looks like he dribbled out of bounds that time, so the Friars catch a break. It'll be a goal kick. And that time in transition, Marquette getting it going right down the middle of the field through Lucas Sunnison.
Speed kills, and in this matchup, there's plenty of it on display. The sophomore, Sunnison, it's hard to believe that he's only a second-year Golden Eagle because of the impact that he made in his first season.
Last year, a member of the Big East All-Rookie team as well, and of course had the huge goal in the 1-0 win over DePaul earlier this week to help Marquette reach this tournament. Big target up there for the Golden Eagles.
Electric presence.
Friars now trying to work at the Christopher Roman, glances off his head. And it'll be a deep throw in here for Marquette. Segrist on the toss. Vang comes away with it, plays it up for DeVoe. Tries to poke it on over for Griffin, but off his line that time with confidence was Stern. He'll quickly outlet to the far side for Alex Merzberger. And now Merzberger all the way back. Switched up by Albello. And now settled by Segrist. Segrist couldn't quite get around Roman the first time and couldn't do it the second time either. Vang now switches the point of attack. Mendonça back for Serrano. And Serrano had his pass interrupted, and now Marquette back the other way. Christopher Roman will send it up ahead towards the 18. Mendonça on the run, and a little glancing header by Albello to his keeper. Nice work there by Cedric Stern, keeping control of the 18. Merzberger now with some space on the outside. DeVoe giving chase from behind. And the heel pass that time off the foot of Alba doesn't work. The Friars will take over in the midfield. Vang will slow things up. And now the Friars can get back to business as usual, working that back line. Kawasmi and Lima. And now Serrano. Looking for DeVoe that time, lost the handle as he was stymied by Salmeron. Now all the way back it goes for Albello. Friars trying to pressure them on that far side, but getting away was Alba. Pass a little bit too deep in the corner. Alba the target, but it'll be another goal kick for the Friars.
It's difficult to steadily possess against Providence, and that's why I was impressed with the sequence there by Marquette in the build-up through the midfield.
Almost a little mirror image action of what Providence does as they were working it across that defensive line.
That's why Providence matches up well with St. John's, because that's what St. John's really likes to do. And this year they've got a couple of finishers in Skage Simonson, Tenny Olawashi, Brandon Knapp, and others that Providence matched up so well with them earlier this week, they gave them a taste of their own medicine.
Now Marquette advancing up that far side again. Merzberger looks to play it in towards the mixer, and that one's hit up by Kawasmi. sky high here in Providence. Griffin able to get ahead to it, but then settled by Perpa. Out wide, Segrist. Trying to work into the corner is Josh Cohn. Cohn, we mentioned earlier, is the top scorer for the Golden Eagles, but has been relatively quiet so far this afternoon as we are getting closer to the midway point of this first half. I'm glad you could join us here on the Big East Digital Network.
How much fun is this? The way that the Big East has performed in men's soccer. You've got a Providence team with an RPI of 30. If they win today and potentially get St. John's again, that's, if they fell short, that's a loss that really wouldn't hurt them at all with the way St. John's is in the RPI report. The Big East potentially can be a 4-bid league. We'll see how things trend here, but a Marquette side that's so difficult to face. They're a feisty group, but they've shown it in the early goings. Impressed with the way they've started.
Yeah, they are not intimidated at all being on the road here in Providence today. Have been the aggressor at times for sure as Perpa moves that ball through the midfield. Now they'll bring it back and they'll work it through Salmeron again and all the way over Villa and Segrist. That pass off the mark from Segrist, and the Friars will take over. They'll knock it around again. Duncan up ahead for Roman. Tight quarters, gets it up to DeVoke. DeVoke looks over his options, spots Espen Wolf making the run on the far side. Wolf now puts it towards the middle, over the head of Griffin. And cleared on out over to Alba. Marquette now patient. They'll use Merzberger. Vang trying to trouble him, forces him into an errant pass. Wolf now for Griffin. Griffin puts it on frame and just off the outside of the net. Not a bad bid that time by the senior, Danny Griffin.
That all started with Kevin Vang stepping in and forcing the turnover on an area of the field where you would think the ball's going to head out for a throw-in.
Well, and it looked like Merzberger had some time to work with, but took maybe a little too much time. That allowed Vang to get right in on him and force the bad pass. So we'll see what the Friars do with this corner kick. Their first of the day. They're going to go short. DeVoke here right off the end line, plays it off of Segrist, pops it up, comes out to Griffin, the shot, and that one deflects around a couple of players and finally awayed by Villa. Griffin hit hard, and that will draw the whistle and a free kick for the Friars. As Griffin went up strong, but coming in a little bit stronger from behind was Connor Alba, and puts his side in a tough spot here, as the Friars certainly quite capable of knocking one in or setting someone up a little bit closer. So João Serrano, this is his territory, one of the senior captains for the Friars. A redshirt senior out of Avora, Portugal, leading them in points this year from that left back spot. Has had the propensity for coming up big in these types of moments. Has Wolf to his left. Wouldn't shock me to see them use him. And DeVoke in the middle of the 18 with Mendonça. Here comes the cross, punched out by Stern. And Marquette escapes danger. Vang again trying to cause some problems with some pace, but running out of bounds was Josh Cohn. And I think they're going to move Friars back into it. They're going to let them take their space. Comes up ahead, DeVoke trying to settle, but he was surrounded by 3 blue jerseys, and that one's promptly knocked into the Providence bench.
For Marquette, you have to weather that Providence storm with the way the Friars have been able to produce offensively over the last 4 matches. 9 goals, outscoring their opponents 9-3. And thus far, all that matters is 0 on the board.
Perfect cross for Espen Wolf. Merzberger there to meet him. And a solid defensive play to knock it out of bounds. But what vision that time from Paulo Lima to spot Wolf making the run. A perfect cross right onto his chest. And somehow the Friars have been able to kind of take control of this one over the last 5 minutes or so. Have been more in the Marquette end of the field and starting to get dangerous there on the inside. DeVoke has the long toss. We've seen it a couple times already today.
Marquette now with essentially 9 behind the ball.
Comes towards the 18, off the head of Kowasmi, off his line, Stern, and he'll gobble it up. Going to send it on down quickly to field level, where Megan Caffrey standing by with an update.
Thanks, Mike. Well, from my vantage point, Cedric Stern is sounding like a seasoned vet in directing his back line. And Coach Bennett told us Cedric came into this role not having too much experience. You have to remember, he's filling the shoes of former Golden Eagles goalkeeper Luis Barraza, the resigning Big East goalkeeper of the year. And what Coach Bennett told us about Cedric, though, is that he's well balanced and makes good decisions and is a really solid keeper. And he's gotten a lot of training habits from Luis Barraza.
Thank you, Megan, for that update on Cedric Stern. And also interesting, Jackson Wyman started the first 9 games of the season in goal. But coming into this one, Stern had started the last 8. A shot from Mendonça as he's clipped from behind while shooting. Pops it on over, but the official right there and says no foul. But again, the Friars causing some problems in the defensive third for Marquette. As both teams looking to get that goose egg off the scoreboard here with just under 19 minutes remaining in the first half.
Here's the key dimension to this game. Marquette's been able to keep Providence off the board, and the Golden Eagles are very capable of the counterattack. It's important that these Friars, who have been playing at such a high level, don't forget about Marquette's ability to counter, because you can be patient, and they have been, but you have to remember the Golden Eagles have speed that can flash in an instant. And sometimes when you're putting opportunities on frame, you can get frustrated if you're not getting the end result. Got to remember what's on the other side.
We've already seen a couple opportunities for players like Lucas Sunnison, able to break free down the middle of the field. Mendonça trying to complete the cross with a bicycle, but not quite getting through Segrist. Now down the middle of the field, here's Connor Alba. He'll settle it back for Mersberger.
That was fun to watch from Mendonça.
These Friars quite acrobatic over the course of this season. Mendonça actually almost had a bicycle the other night against St. John's. Looking for DeVoke on the through ball that time, intercepted by Villa. Another one of those Marquette center backs. And Paulo Lima returning the favor on the other end as Christopher Roman holds. Lima able to knock it free. Nice give and go with DeVoke, and Lima now some space.
Wow.
Segrist chasing back. Lima puts it across, and that one headed away by Albello. Now able to wiggle out of trouble. Connor Alba with Segrist blasting it forward. Duncan there to knock it right back. Roman gets around his man. Now trying to get around Segrist. Villa coming back as well. DeVoke has it knocked out of bounds for another Providence corner. You can see the creativity, the fun that the Friars have in working that ball up the field. Players like Lima, who have just been so outstanding over the course of this season.
The things that Paulo Lima does are a lot harder than he makes them look. He's fantastic.
Well, and talking to Coach Stewart earlier this week before the St. John's games, we were talking specifically about Paulo, and he was saying, he just does things that other players simply can't. And the way he does them, so hard to combat. So here comes the corner from Serrano up across. Espen Wolf, the shot to score! Espen Wolf off the corner kick from João Serrano. And the Friars finally break the goose egg on the scoreboard and lead this one 1-0. For Espen Wolf, that is going to be goal number 3. He had one against St. John's on Wednesday night. Now comes through with the left foot. What a corner kick by João Serrano, and nobody staying with Wolf. You'd think that somebody would have been on him, and the official in some kind of conversation here with the Marquette players, the goalkeeper out talking with the AR.
Stern, not happy.
He ran all the way out right at the AR to talk.
Assisted by number 5, João Serrano in the 28th minute.
Well, they do have review capabilities. I'm not sure exactly what the argument would be based on looking at it a couple of times. Espen Wolf got free, and Marquette just didn't do a good enough job defending him.
Still a heated discussion going on out there, but as of now, it looks like it's going to stand.
Stern wasn't really kept from trying to make a save on that. That was more about Marquette defensively not marking Espen Wolf, who got to the back post.
There was a little bit of contact with Lima and Merzberger, and I think that is what Stern was complaining about. But it didn't really impact.
Well, and he might be thinking that there was a pick set on that, but it wasn't really intentional off Lima. Lima wasn't thinking, I'm going to try to box him out here on Nuremberg.
Now Coach Bennett getting the explanation from the official as well.
That, to me, Mike's a good goal. I think it's incidental contact from Lima. Lima's turned around. He's not even thinking.
It was more Segrist running into the back of Lima, and Lima's in a natural motion moving his arms, and if it caught him up high, that's what happened, but certainly didn't seem to be anything that would warrant taking that goal off the board for the Friars. And again, what a brilliant strike off the corner kick. João Serrano for Espen Wolf comes in the 29th minute of play. And Wolf's third goal of the season, but second straight. He had the second one against St. John's, and now this first one. The freshman has been outstanding all season long, Espen Wolf.
How about Serrano, too? That was a perfectly taken corner. You take that for granted, just how swell he is at making those look easy. Went right to the back post, could not have set up Espen Wolf better. And the Friars, after knocking on the door and sustaining possession, they find the breakthrough, now outscoring opponents in their last 5 matches 10-3.
Yeah, and the Friars have been outstanding here at home, 8-2 on the season. As Christopher Roman now taking some space. Gil Santos has entered the match for the Friars, trying to put it across Villa there to disrupt. And now Villa back the other way. He's going to use his man on the near side, Josh Cohn. He'll spin out of trouble, and tough challenge from Roman coming through. Roman, perhaps with the spikes high that time, is going to draw the first booking of the game. And there it is. So Christopher Roman picks up the yellow. And two-footed challenge like that, usually going to draw the call. And it'll be a restart for Marquette. Cone, I don't think there was that much contact, but it was the way that Roman came in with the spikes high. Cone seems perfectly okay. And now Marquette's going to have to chase the game here. And how will they change their game plan? And how does that kind of play into the hands of the Friars?
That is the key question. And for the Golden Eagles, they can't allow Providence to settle in. I think that that's the key to all this, is because once Providence can go through their back line, they're fine with having the ball in their defensive third if they're on it. This team's content with that. It doesn't mean that they don't build up and try to find a second goal, but they'll look for the right moment where they could exploit space and make you creep up on them. They're going to make you come to them. And so that's what Marquette has to avoid. I think it's important that they find some sort of an answer in the next 15 minutes, some sort of an opportunity that can at least get Providence thinking, if it's not a goal, thinking, okay, they're still capable of having that moment. And they absolutely are, Mike, but if you let Providence hang in the back here, you're in for a long afternoon.
Well, both coaches talked to us about how important it was for them to impose their style of play. So far, advantage Providence. They've been able to control the tempo, really control most of the possession, and not let Marquette get too settled. As the Golden Eagles try to make something happen on the far side with Christian Marquez, who had checked in after the goal.
I'm impressed with the way Providence has tracked Marquette's attack on the outside. They're not letting them get easy entrances to the box.
Yeah, they've really shut down most of the opportunities for players like Segrist working on the outside and others, as well as that pass broken up by Gil Santos and knocked out of play for another Providence throw.
Reminder tonight that the Big East Men's Soccer first round action rolls on 8 Eastern time with Creighton and Butler for a second straight Saturday in Omaha.
Yeah, a lot of rematches potentially or actually happening this late in the season of games that were just recently played. Of course, should Providence hold on to this one, they'll play St. John's for the second time in a week. Gil Santos able to out-muscle a couple of Golden Eagles, puts it towards the 18. And that one knocked around by the back line. Santos, though, nearly able to force the turnover, finally gets it back. And it'll be off the foot of Mendonça. Again, the Friars able to work that near side. Perpa will leave it back for Albello. And he'll restart things from the back line, now ahead for Salmeron. And the Friars not going with a ton of extra pressure up top, but just enough to disrupt things and make life difficult for these Marquette backs. As Davis Smith out there as well. The transfer from UMass came in after the goal from Espen Wolf. Kowalski now will use Serrano. Serrano calmly plays it up ahead for Smith. Had the step for a moment, is taken down in the middle of the field. And that could be cardable. In fact, it will be. So a yellow card upcoming on Marquette. As Davis Smith had the step for a moment, was about to break free. The yellow justice served up to Christian Albello.
That's an absolute card right there. Absolutely. No question in that instance. And for the Friars, Danny Griffin has had a couple of almost. Now he'll look to make the connection potentially to that right post. We'll see if he can find a Friar. There's 4 now at the top of the 18.
They're actually going to move this one back about 7 or 8 yards, so I think they're going to switch up and have Serrano take. And again, he's the master of free kicks for the Friars, has been his whole career here. He's been masterful on corners this season, but also has been tremendously effective of playing dangerous balls into the 18 in just these type of situations. So the clock stopped at 12:09 after the yellow issued to Christian Albello. Friars looking to tack one on here. The ball from Serrano and swings it out wide for Gil Santos, who was all alone. Santos now couldn't quite get around the defender, Gabe Cash. And then knocked out of play, they're gonna say on Santos. Looked like there could have been maybe a foul on Santos. I'm not sure he played it out for the throw.
That's what the Friars are looking for. Not happy with the no call that time. But welcome to Big East soccer. And now the official really does want to discuss, because Craig Stewart is on him here and wants to have a discussion.
Very spirited discussion down there between the official and Craig Stewart. Well, there it is. Official saying he's not going to be hearing this from Coach Stewart all game long. If he has to return to the coaching area, Coach Stewart will be booked. We'll see how that plays out. Up ahead, Kowalski able to win the challenge in the midfield. Espen Wolf able to get over the back of Marquez. And now calmly back to the foot of Villa. Around for Albello. Smith with some light pressure. Now Gabe Cash, a redshirt freshman from Marshall, Illinois. Tried to lift it up ahead, but puts it out of bounds. 11 minutes and change left. Beautifully sunny day here in Providence. A little bit chilly. Temperature's up to around 40 now. Clear skies and no precipitation. Played up ahead by Segrist, who's now been moved back to a left back spot. As Coach Bennett perhaps trying to find a combination that's going to solve this Providence midfield and defense. Ooh, tough challenge coming from behind. Lifting the leg up on Wolf. And I think Marquette's lucky they didn't just pick up another card as a dangerous challenge out of Alan Salmeron.
Keep in mind there's chippiness already with these two teams. From their regular season meeting back on October 12th, a 2-0 Friar win. Early red card to Marquette. And this has been a continuation of that first meeting. I think that Craig Stewart senses what happened in the first meeting. And the last thing you want, Mike, is to have a foul cause any sort of an injury to your group in postseason play. Things are really picking up here.
Yeah, Marquette just trying to do anything they can to kind of turn the tide. Long ball played across Lima, able to get ahead on it. Second head by Cash. And now Roman will use Lima. Lima trying to dance out of trouble. Works that sideline. And it takes a second Golden Eagle to knock it out of bounds. As coming back was Josh Cohn. And that'll allow for another long throw in for the Friars. It'll be Gil Santos, much like DeVoke, has a toss capable of getting into about the middle of the 18 from about this spot. So the Friars will adjust accordingly. Davis Smith, a huge target at 6'7". Off of Kawashmi, the shot from Mendonça. And that one squirts wide, but a dangerous ball there by the Friars.
Marquette needs a collective breath right now, Mike. These last 9 minutes of the first half end up determining this game because Providence has had control. They've got numbers forward, pressing high, and I'm shocked that they go short there.
Well, it's an illegal goal kick. It never cleared out of the 18, so they'll reset it. I always found it odd that there's no penalty for that. Or, you know, you're able to do it and they'll just restart it. Long ball up ahead this time, won by Roman. Doesn't know where it went. And it winds up out of bounds. It'll be a throw in for Marquette.
Golden Eagles just have to settle down here and try to reestablish possession and give their back line a break.
That really has been the issue, that back line under duress for majority of this first half. And unable to keep it in on the near side was Josh Cohn. And that'll be a Providence throw once again.
This Providence backline's tough enough to find a way past, or alone one that hasn't been tested in the last 20 minutes or so.
You can feel their confidence growing. They've been a confident group all season long, but especially when playing here at Chappie Field, as we have another chippy foul there on the near side, setting up a free kick for the Friars. And you feel like halftime could be the best thing right now for Marquette. Allow them to regroup as a team and get everybody on the same page and try to figure out not just the combination of players that's going to work, but a system that's going to be able to break through against this Providence side. Visa with the little floater up top. Santos heads it along for Smith. Has a man all over him, but play will continue. Kawasmi wins it for Lima, and now back for Duncan. And Duncan runs into a little trouble, able to find Roman. Lima hacked at, but still able to get it over to Serrano. Pushes it forward. Smith now on the run and takes a tumble along with Christian Albello. Wolf now quickly gets it in for Mendonça, and then they knock it back for Serrano. Lima able to settle. And now dishes back for his countryman, Serrano. Griffin is going to get called for the foul as he went in hard. That gave Cash that time with the ball in the air. And again, each player seemed to give a little bit extra now on all these challenges and 50-50 balls. Trying to gain that physical edge. Albello lifts it forward, but right to Lima. And again, the connecting passes just haven't been there for Marquette here in the first half. They've had a couple of moments, but nothing really sustained over this first 39 minutes. In it comes now for Salmeron. As he winds up on the turf after a collision with Mendonça, he'll get it back from Cash. Cash now will step forward. And Salmeron all the way back for Villa. Perpa, haven't called his name in a while, sends it up ahead. Won by Duncan and out of play. Segrist stepping up for the throw, looks ahead towards the box. Promptly cleared back the other way. And into one of the windows up here at Chappie Field.
Always got to be ready. I think that the factor going forward in this match, if in these next 5 minutes we really don't see that major opportunity for Marquette, then for a team that can strike as quickly as they can, Mike, that means the opening 10 minutes of the second half, trying to reestablish a rhythm.
Serrano, the safe answer after the cross from the corner. Was initially tracked down by Salmeron, but couldn't keep it in play, and now we're going to get another change for the Friars. It'll be Gage Raftery, the freshman from Seattle,
for number 8, Thiago Mendonça.
Coming in to give Thiago Mendonça a little bit of a rest, heading into the half.
Mendonça's put it all out there, as he usually does. We saw him attempt a bicycle. We saw him come up with brilliant takeaway early on in this one that generated a shot from the right side of the area. This kid, he just puts it all on the line every time he's on the field.
Yeah, another one of those redshirt seniors for head coach Craig Stewart. It's been very effective over the course of his career here in Friartown. Here's Raftery now. Pushes it forward. Santos on the run. So is Davis Smith. Santos able to collect. Now we'll hold for Wolf. Cash trying to cope up with it, and Wolf gets to the edge of the box, plays it across. Nobody home, though, for the Friars, and Perpa able to blast it towards midfield.
Aspen Wolf had numbers deep in the box near the 6. That cross was sent back near the top of the 18, Mike, and nobody there in transition.
You know, that's kind of the Friars' bread and butter, too. Work it down to that far corner for Wolf. He's put in plenty of good crosses over the season. And we're going to get a foul, a little bit delayed call as the advantage not materializing. Santos lifts it towards the net, and having to make a play on it was Stern. Had to wait on it with Davis Smith coming in close at the last second. Tricky little ball that time from Gil Santos. Now Marquette, 3 minutes away from the half, trying to build again from the back. Pressure, though, from Santos, and now Raftery as Segrist sends it back once again for Villa. Perpa now tries to take a little bit of space in front of him. Challenge from behind on Santos, and not a ton, which draws the groans from the Friar faithful here. Perpa with a quick restart now for Salmeron. And across the back line it goes all the way out for Cash. Cash with some speed down the far flank. Put towards the back post. Raftery, glancing header, but right onto the foot of Cohn. And then sent out of play for a throw-in. Approaching 2 minutes left in the half. Marquette trying to keep the Friars locked in here for the final couple of minutes. And offsides were the Golden Eagles. The Friars will certainly take their time here in setting up this restart. Avisa will make the slow jog on over to the corner. Just over 100 seconds left here in the half. And now they're going to stop the clock as they're going to say Avisa moved the ball too far forward, doing a little goalie toss with the backspin, but spun it up too high, and they're going to send them almost all the way back to the corner.
Well, I think for Marquette, their best moment came for Lucas Sunnison halfway through the first half on the counter. He's been waiting at the 6 for them when they've been on the attack, now trying to get over to it for that chance. That has to be the second half priority. Give him a chance and some space to create something.
Yeah, it was certainly one of those rare moments where he was matched up one-on-one with Kawasmi right in the middle of the field off the counter as Davis Smith heads to the turf that time. Well, the build-up from Albello. Salmeron forced to go short again for Perpa. Now the Friars trying to lock them in. With 1 minute left here in the half. Friars enjoying a 1-0 lead. It was Espen Wolf in the 29th minute on a corner kick from João Serrano. Turning it back now, Alba. Couldn't get around Lima and Roman. Raftery put under that time by Cohn. Cohn showing some great speed there. Cohn now puts it towards the 18 and cleared away by Kawasmi, down to about 30 seconds left. Marquette's going to have to hurry as it's lifted towards the 18 again, over everybody. Cash trying to knock it back in. Serrano turns it back once again. Griffin trying to break free. has his jersey pulled and takes a couple of extra shoves as well, and that should pretty much do it for the end of the half. Chippy at times, but Friars pretty much controlling most of the action for the first 45.
A half that was dictated by the Friars from the get-go. Marquette with some flashes, Providence with the sustained possession. Patience by the Friars. They've now outscored their last 5 opponents in 4.5 games, 10-3. And a great moment, Serrano finding Espen Wolf, who was freed up on the back post and capitalized in that moment. That's the difference thus far for Marquette. Some encouraging signs, but I think they've got to stop thinking in the attacking third, potentially take those risks. It's going to take a risk to even up this game, nor alone win it at the Chap.
So the Friars 45 minutes away from a date with St. John's this coming week in the Big East semifinals. We're at the half where Providence leads 1-0. We'll be back with more right here on the Big East Digital Network, presented by SoFi.
It's time to fuel your ambitions by taking charge of your student debt. At SoFi, we've helped over 250,000 people refinance their student loans, saving thousands of dollars. Now you can pay off your student loans faster and reach your goals sooner. See how much you can save in just 2 minutes at SoFi.com/save.
Big cities. Big names. Big legacies. Big sisters and brothers. Big ideas. Big expectations. Big stage. Big results. That's the Big East way.
Hallelujah.
And this is just one night. You should see what we do during the day. Marquette University. Be the difference.
When my time came to stop coaching, I was very fortunate that I didn't have to go cold turkey. I was able to start the Big East Conference, and we came across the sky like a meteor.
One recruiting year that they had that really turned everything around was the Ewan Mullen Pinckney recruiting year. It changed the face of Eastern basketball probably forever.
We just believed in ourselves and a lot of hard work on everybody's part.
Every March, Madison Square Garden is home to everything that is college basketball.
Put on
weather? Yeah. It's snowing out. It's a blizzard, but we ain't gonna stop.
Rightly, there were questions early on about whether the Big East could withstand the test of reconfiguration, and I think if you were here, we've done that and more.
It's a monster league now. Last man standing, bring the flag. Tough to coach in, but great for spectators and great to play in. The march of the Big East goes on.
One of the positives about the sports business in the last couple of years, and in recent years in particular, has been the growing interest in seeing our industry become a more diverse and inclusive place.
I find it important for us to amplify the voices of those who have not traditionally had a seat at the table. As a Black African woman, my various social identities are always at the forefront of my daily interactions, from my first name, my culture, to where I'm from. So for me, diversity is about us celebrating our uniqueness as a society.
A lot of what happens in terms of diversifying workforce in the college world happens at the campus level. That's really where the core hiring takes place. The schools are responsible for hiring their directors of athletics, their staffs, their coaches. And so the conference is really a step away from that activity, but I think conferences can and should set a tone. And so in the Big East, we have tried to make diversity and inclusion a conference strategic priority. We have, for example, within our conference SAC group, designated a diversity and inclusion officer. D&I has become an important topic of discussion at SAC meetings. And our D&I officer is now included into the conference-wide diversity and inclusion working group that we've created.
I currently serve as the conference's Student Athlete Advisory Committee's Diversity and Inclusion Officer. This position is charged with ensuring that the conference carries out its commitment to inclusion for all. And I assist the conference staff in creating opportunities for student athletes from different backgrounds to come together to share and exchange ideas. I also work closely with the Big East Diversity and Inclusion Working Group.
You know, when I think about diversity, I think about the fact that diversity is a fact. When we think about inclusion, we think about inclusion being a choice. And I think if we can succeed in anything at the Big East is to impress upon everyone how inclusion isn't just a choice but a responsibility.
The Big East is committed to continuing the development of programs and initiatives that support diverse and inclusive environments for our student athletes, coaches, staff, and communities.
It's time to fuel your ambitions by taking charge of your student debt. At SoFi, we've helped over 250,000 people refinance their student loans, saving thousands of dollars. Now you can pay off your student loans faster and reach your goals sooner. See how much you can save in just 2 minutes at SoFi.com/save.
cities. Big names. Big legacies. Big sisters and brothers. Big ideas. Big expectations. Big stage. Big results. That's the Big East way.
And welcome back once again to Chappie Field here at Anderson Stadium, where we are at the half opening round of the Big East Men's Soccer Tournament. Providence leading Marquette 1-0. It was Espen Wolf in the 29th minute off an assist from João Serrano from a corner kick that has lifted the Friars to a 1-0 lead here at the break. Mike Mancuso alongside John Fantos will go through some of the stats from the first half. No huge surprises when you look. The first half controlled mainly by the Friars. They lead in total shots, shots on goal, fouls. Starting to get a little chippy. We've seen yellow cards issued to each team, but not something that's a real surprise in a game that means this much to both teams.
It's Big East playoff soccer. You knew that you were going to get some chippiness. The question coming into this match was which team was going to be able to impose their style. The Friars have won round one. They were able to sustain possession. They were patient. Marquette put numbers behind the ball, Mike, but on a corner kick opportunity, a set-piece chance, João Serrano, that is where he butters his bread, and 7 assists on the season. Just a fantastic talent for the Friars. Finding Espen Wolf on the back post. That's the difference right now, but Providence out shooting Marquette 6-2. Only 3 shots on goal combined between the two teams, but we saw several different moments that would suggest we might not be done at just 1 goal.
Yeah, I think we'll certainly see at least 1 more by either side here coming up in the second half. But time to look back at the week that was a little bit, and of course some cross-country championships decided, John. And first we'll take a look at the men's cross-country championship.
Villanova ending a 4-year title run by Georgetown. The Wildcats edging the Hoyas 36-42, and it was senior Nathan Rodriguez who was the individual runner-up behind Butler Jew and Makepeace. Andrew Martson for the Wildcats, as well as Casey Comer won last year's race, coming up big as well. And Villanova coming out on top, and on the women's side it was Butler. They ended Villanova's 2-year run as team champs. Dogs put up a strong day, both the men's and women's, but it was junior Emily Royston who took 5th, and her classmate Angelina Ellis right behind in 6th. They got it done with depth, the Dogs did, and congratulations to both Marcus O'Sullivan at Villanova as well as Matt Rowe and the Butler women, a Butler program that really has evolved both on the track and in cross country.
Of course, it is championship time for women's soccer and field hockey as well as men's soccer, as you are watching here today, but also the Big East Volleyball Championship coming up at the end of the month. The championship semifinals and final November 29th and 30th. They'll be held at the Al McGuire Center in Milwaukee. To get your tickets, you can go to bigeast.com/VB tickets, or of course you can call the Marquette University ticket office at 414-288-4668. So time for us to step aside once again. We'll be back with more from Chappie Field in Providence. This is the Big East Digital Network, presented by SoFi.
It's time to fuel your ambitions by taking charge of your student debt. At SoFi, we've helped over 250,000 people refinance their student loans, saving thousands of dollars. Now you can pay off your student loans faster and reach your goals sooner. See how much you can save in just 2 minutes at SoFi.com/save.
Big cities. Big names. Big legacies. Big sisters and brothers. Big ideas. Big expectations. Big stage. Big results. That's the Big East way.
welcome back once again to Chappie Field here at Anderson Stadium in Providence, just moments away from the start of the second half. Mike Mancuso alongside John Fanta here on the Big East Digital Network presented by SoFi. And the Friars able to break through in the first half. The 29th minute goal from Espen Wolf. The difference right now, but still 45 minutes left to play. And it'll be interesting to see what kind of changes Louis Bennett has made at the half here in terms of trying to find a way to solve this Providence defense.
It won't take long to see those changes because Marquette is a quick-paced team. They get that first touch this second half. I'm thinking they're putting numbers forward and trying to get an opportunity, a threat to send a message to the Friars.
So Marquette in the road Navy uniforms with the gold numbers. They'll be moving from left to right here in the second half across your screen. The Friars in those home whites, gray striping, and black numerals will advance from right to left. 45 minutes on the clock. All we need is for the official to finish tying his shoe, and we should be set to go here for half number 2 in Providence. A date with St. John's later this week coming up for the winner. Should it be the Friars, it would be a rematch of this past Wednesday's game in which the Friars won 2-0 right here in Providence. And we are underway, second half. Marquette trying to target Patrick Segrist on the far side, but he was unable to catch up with that long cross. Mendonça will have it trickle out of bounds. It'll be a Marquette throw here from the far side. Quickly tossed in by Segrist. So he's able to find Alba. Alba, though, couldn't get through a trio of Mendonça, Vang, and Lima. And Cash now trying to play it forward for Marquez. So both those two reserves that came in the first half have remained out there for Marquette. Dangerous ball to the far side of the 6. Ball bounces in the 6 and eventually cleared away by Lima. Marquette, the aggressor here in the opening minute of the second half, trying to get something going to find the equalizer. Played across again by Cash off the head of Kowasmi. Griffin able to send it out wide where it's tracked down by Cone. He'll leave it back once again for Salmeron, who furthers it back for Albello. Albello takes his space down the middle of the field. Able to connect with Alba. Now finally some sustained pressure out of Marquette, something we didn't see a ton of in the first half. As it's played across again, headed by Sunnison. Not on frame, but settled once again in the box by Marquez. Perpa now with an opportunity as they work it around. Quick connecting passes here, and the pace has certainly picked up for Marquette. Just as you talked about, John, what they needed to do. Pick up the tempo, play with pace, and possess. Friars now trying to get something going on the counter. DeVoke able to utilize Espen Wolf. And all the way back now for Serrano. Pressure from Sunnison, who sends down Serrano. And Sunnison in full stride, knocking the Friar captain down to the turf, but the official all over it. I think the Friars looking perhaps for a card in that situation, but as you said before, Big East soccer. We're going to send it down quickly to field level, where Megan Caffrey standing by with another update.
Thanks, Mike. Well, you could see from how Marquette has come out here fighting in the second half. Coach Bennett's message to his team was to reestablish rhythm. He really wants his team to play the ball quicker. And also for the Friars, Coach Stewart was saying, yes, okay, it's good to be up 1-0 at the half, but he wants to clean a lot of things up, specifically going forward.
We saw there another hard foul as Kevin Vang was taken down. And you're absolutely right, Megan. The pace has picked up, the intensity, and the tempo in the opening couple of minutes. John, this is exactly what you had talked about Marquette needing to do.
If there's a team that's capable of punching back, it's Marquette. Look at the numbers forward here.
Segrist now taking his space into the corner, shadowed by Roman. Roman, some nice defensive work. Ball played across, headed down into the box and slid away. A nice play by Danny Griffin. As Marquette, again, looking dangerous here in the opening minutes of the second half. They'll toss it all the way back for Christian Albello. Albello now will utilize his man, Gabe Cash, product of the Sporting KC Youth Program. One of 10 children, the youngest of 10 kids, Cash. Was taken down was DeVoke. He is writhing in pain as play continues. DeVoke in the middle of the field, though.
He's holding that left leg right now.
And the shot up and over the net. Off the foot of Cone. And now time will stop as DeVoke will get attended to. It's a hard challenge in the midfield.
Craig Stewart is quieted down.
Yes. Essentially rolled his ankle, did DeVoe, as he tries to walk this one off. And for a player that relies on his speed, that could be a tough injury to try to battle through. It'll be a goal kick here for the Friars.
I don't think it's going to be as simple as Providence is able just to lay back and do what they do best, and that is possess throughout their back line and wear you down with that. I think that Marquette's already showing it here.
Well, Providence is going to have to play this as if it's 0-0. I mean, they're going to have to keep pushing numbers forward, keep trying to disrupt with their attacking midfielders and forwards and disrupt whatever Marquette's building out of the back. They cannot, as you said, just sit back and kind of play out the remaining 41 minutes here. Marquette will certainly not allow them to do that. And Marquette getting in just barely into the tournament, needed some help. And the loss by Seton Hall to Villanova in the final game of the season. And then Marquette's road win over DePaul, a place that had been a house of horrors for the Golden Eagles for the last 17 years.
And one might say, Marquette, they're fortunate. They came up on the right side of things. In this league, you will absolutely take any sort of a break or anything you can get, because in this conference, it's tough on the 4 teams that aren't in the Big East tournament when you've got all 10 inside the top 80 of the RPI nationally.
Yeah, there are no gimme games in the Big East at any moment. Here's Lima trying to send it wide for Wolf. Perhaps too heavy of a touch. Wolf able to keep it in and then runs out of real estate. It'll be a goal kick coming up for Marquette.
Lima had the mindset of a creator here. He had the space potentially to make a couple more steps forward towards the 18 and potentially get a strike off. I think that Providence has shown in this match they're more than capable.
And again, the curious, very short goal kicks lead to a turnover by Marquette. Friars will have them locked in deep. Roman will hold for now, but I think they're going to wait for DeVoe, who does have a longer toss. They'll set up some instant offense here. And that'll also bring Ramsey Kawazmi into the picture as well, who's got a couple of goals off headers in these type of situations. However, Friars mixing it up, they go short, and this could be a problem. Marquette now trying to get that counter going. Roman, a timely stop there, but only for the moment. As Kawasmi now, who had been all the way upfield, able to win it over for DeVoe, and now Danny Griffin. The Friars able to stymie that counterattack by Marquette, now mounting a counter of their own. And now the all-reliable Serrano will leave it for Lima.
Ramsey Kawasmi started that play. The sophomore defender covers a lot of ground, was able to win it back, getting up the field. And Providence does a great job in their shape. If they've got players who take that run forward, others replace him.
Cash with some nifty moves to get around a couple of Friars, and it's sent out by Kawasmi. Yeah, the Friar defenders so good on the defensive end, but really add a lot to the offensive as well.
They do.
Serrano leading the team in points. Lima, a defensive midfielder, leading the team in goals. Kawasmi with a couple of big tallies as well. As Kawasmi blasts that one all the way towards the netminder Stern, who you can see him with the hand up, and you can see by virtue of the shadows, the sun is in the face of Marquette here for the second half. And that is why we saw the Friars start half number 1 on the left side after winning that coin toss.
Campus sites matter in the Big East tournament. Home field advantage matters.
They certainly do, and it is a bright sun out there as well. The clouds are out there, but not doing anything against this sun, as Avisa has to come out and make a rare touch on it. He has not been too busy back there for the Friars. Griffin trying to keep it in, but out muscling him was Leo Villa, leading to a Marquette throw.
Looking at the storylines across the Big East, St. John's right now watching and waiting for who their next opponent will be. You can't tell me they aren't hungry. The competitor in you wants to give back at Providence. And so even though the Friars are leading, even though they beat St. John's, you can't tell me that St. John's isn't thinking about just what the Friars can do and just how good St. John's has been this season. They'd like to solve that challenge. That's who Dave Mazur is. He rises to every single test.
Well, and the interesting thing, of course, for St. John's, I mean, there's not a single player on that roster that has ever beaten Providence. And they haven't beaten the Friars since 2009. So it has just been a bit of a mystery when it comes to the Friars for St. John's to beat them. And, you know, and it's been some very good St. John's teams along the way.
It'd be a rematch of a playoff game between the two last year.
Friars coming out on top in that one as well as they work it up to DeVoke. Only has one man to beat. Now Bello, DeVoke trying to cut past him, and now Bello, the safe play towards the sideline. Take a nice slow bounce out for a Providence throw.
Marquette set numbers forward, and offensively they've been able to find a little bit more traction, but in terms of Perpa, Sunnison, their main cogs in the attack, haven't been able to get great looks on target.
And so now I think the official already is going to be stopping the clock early whenever he feels Providence taking too much time on some of these throws. Not a lot of warning there, but again, the long toss towards the box. Squirts out to the far side. Roman, the chance, a shot and save made by Stern. Kick save and a beauty that time for the netminder Cedric Stern, but it'll lead to another Providence corner.
There was nobody behind him there. Nobody at that back post. If it deflects off the wrong part of his leg, it could have scattered and found a way across that goal line. Good job by Stern. You could see why he took over the role halfway through the season in net and has just run with it.
And John, you had mentioned the first 10 minutes of this half would be so important. We saw Marquette kind of come out on fire, but since then, Providence slowly taking hold of this game. The cross from Serrano. Wolf there taken down. And they're going to call a penalty kick as Wolf taken down from behind on the far post. Another brilliant corner, nearly a carbon copy of what we saw before. The cross from Serrano, Wolf on the back door, and a yellow card to boot. I believe it's going to be on Marquez. So Christian Marquez, the takedown of Wolf on the back post. And the Friars, a golden opportunity. And if you're Marquette, you just can't, first of all, lose track kind of Wolf again, but Marquez taking him down in that fashion.
It's a sequel. You can't get beat twice on the same play in a game of this magnitude. You've given Providence a chance to put a dagger through here. That is brutal for the Golden Eagles. Fool me once, shame on you. But fool you twice in this instance. For the Golden Eagles, this is brutal.
So here we go, João Serrano from the PK spot, 12 yards out. The redshirt senior, save made by Stern, and Serrano can't believe it. Stern read it perfectly, not a ton of power. Serrano going for the placement that time, but denied by Cedric Stern. And he is fired up out there, John, as he should be. Stern has been a fiery guy all game long. Now Marquette perhaps could turn that into some positive energy on the opposite end. However, the miss hit that time, a zig instead of a zag, leads to a Providence throw. And Serrano, who had been perfect from the PK spot, 2 of 2 coming into today, not expecting to see him miss that.
A total game-changing play in the wave of momentum. It gives Marquette what feels like an extra life right now. If Providence scores there, the Friars came into this match having only allowed 3 goals on a 4-match win streak. You'd be asking then to potentially score 2 and 3 if you wanted to win, unless it goes to PKs. But now that gives Marquette an extra life. It means they're still just one moment away. And in the predicament in which this match would be 1-1 and we get a PK shootout down the road, it would be theater if Serrano steps up against Stern again in this match after Stern stopped him.
It certainly would be epic. Danny Griffin with his version of 10 yards there in front of the free kick. As Marquette now will send it towards the 18. Serrano aways it. And now the loose ball again on the foot of Serrano, trying to get DeVoke in space, but Cash there to knock it away. And then the foul as Vang was hit from behind in the air by Christian Albello. Lima, he had Roman making the run, but decided to go short for Serrano. And the Friars will go back to just working that back line. Malcolm Duncan lifted forward for Griffin. He'll settle with 2 Golden Eagles surrounding him. Able to regain possession was Griffin. And One of the best team players Coach Stewart felt he's coached. He made an instant impact as a freshman. He's been a big part of the success of this Providence side over the last 4 years. Knocked out of bounds by Segrist. Well, they're going to say deflected off a Providence foot. So it'll stay with Marquette. As we are already 12 minutes into the second half. If you're just joining us or just rejoining us, Espen Wolf in the 29th minute, connecting on the other end of a João Serrano corner kick. With a bigger moment just a few minutes ago, João Serrano then missing the penalty kick as Cedric Stern guessing the right way and denying the Friars their second goal of the match.
For Marquette, just one shot on target. And that's a product of Providence, the way that they've been able to possess. And the Golden Eagles putting numbers behind the ball to keep them from a second. Providence can wear you down with the way they possess, and that's what we're starting to find here. Marquette needs a counter.
Well, there was a big challenge in the midfield. Now with some pace on the counter, Alba towards the top of the 18. Tries to put it on net and just did not lean over the ball that time.
They've just looked hesitant in the final third. They've had opportunities in space to fire off a shot, and I'm not trying to say that you fire off shots without the accuracy, but this is a playoff game. You need someone to rise to the occasion and provide that moment. The only way that moment's going to happen is if you fire one off. You still have 32 minutes, but you don't want it to be the last 32 minutes of your season. And if Marquette continues to play the way that they have in the final third, they're going to have a tough time extending their campaign.
Absolutely, and of course, those shots have been hard to come by for opponents. Just ask St. John's, only 3 shots on goal on Wednesday night, which was extremely curious out of a very potent offense on that Red Storm side.
Well, that's the takeaway right now, Mike, is there's a tackle, and this could very well be a card on Providence.
So Duncan coming in with a hard challenge. First time he's really been involved in any kind of tough challenge. He'll pick up a yellow, however, for that foul. So now 2 cards issued to the Friars. Christopher Roman and Malcolm Duncan each picking up one. Christian Albello and Christian Marquez, each one for Marquette.
Don't be surprised if they go short here and then try to fire off a shot. I just think with Providence's length, it's tough to find a way to execute in the air here.
Segrist, Sunnison, 2 of the taller targets out there for Marquette. Coach Stewart trying to direct traffic from the bench. Friars will have that 2-man wall chipped on over, but headed out by Kawasmi. And we're going to have a foul back behind the play on Marquette. I think on that initial header that was won by Kawasmi. Friars maybe thought they would have a little bit more advantage there, trying to work a counter, but instead the clock will continue, so they'll take that as well with just about 31 minutes left now here in the second frame.
That's a situation where the angle at which they were taking that free kick from, it would have taken an insane ball to get to the back post and find someone to connect with. Providence ate that up. This just goes back to how stifling Providence can be defensively. When you do have the opportunity, you have to make the most of it.
So let's see if anybody has the magic touch for Marquette. The final 30 minutes and change. Cash sending it forward, but a little too forward. Sunderson's got great speed, but he's not that fast, as Avisa will just kind of take some more time off the clock as he gets the obligatory pressure from Sunderson. Now the rollout for Ramsey Kawasmi. He'll utilize Duncan. Ahead for Lima. And Sunderson, the big challenge on Lima from behind, and we'll have another foul.
Just going off that defensively in this conference. Providence only 15 goals allowed in 17, now today 18 matches, and you think, oh, that's pretty good. It's actually only good for 4th in the Big East. Why? Because Villanova's only allowed 14. St. John's just 13. The Georgetown Hoyas in 17 games played, only 6 goals allowed on the season.
Yeah, what they've been able to do this year has been absolutely outstanding. Number 1 in the RPI heading into this conference championship weekend as Griffin absorbs a hit from Leo Villa. And again, you could feel Marquette just trying to step up their physical presence. And the Friars able to earn a throw in there was Lima, as it was last touched by Salmeron.
Salmeron, the 5'4" midfielder. He uses that height to be elusive and a feisty player. Tough for the lengthy, the sturdy to go up against him because anytime you make contact, you're going to get whistled.
Yeah, he gets good leverage there when battling taller opponents. As Vang now working against Salmeron, and Vang standing in at 5'4" as well. So he's able to deliver it all the way back where Kawasmi will reset with Aviza. And here's where the Friars really love to stretch you out, make players come all the way up the challenge. Mendonça trying to flick it on, has it for Griffin. Laid back, tough ball to the keeper, and a challenge. The shot to score, Trevor DeVoe. And the Friars lead this one 2-0. Trevor DeVoe on the doorstep. And just like that, the Friars strike for the second time today.
We told you about how Marquette's gone through 5-6 center backs this year. Their central defense has struggled. It's been the area that they've been exploited in. And on this play, Marquette sloppy, the Friars make you pay almost every time, and this team capitalizes.
Yeah, it started in the back of Visa, the big kick up ahead, and just a tough touch from Albello. Stern did all he could to disrupt it, but in the end, Trevor DeVoe with a huge goal, his 4th of the season, comes in the 62nd minute, and now Marquette really up against it here, John.
No question. They're facing a superior team. It's hard to believe that Providence is a 3 seed in the conference tournament because the way that the Friars are playing right now, I would not want to run into them. St. John's had to earlier this week. Now it's Marquette. And the Friars, they are 28 and change away from a 13th win, a 9-2 home record, and taking all that into a rematch with St. John's.
The RPI is only going to keep climbing for the Friars. I'm not sure quite what Coach Bennett is complaining about. It's been a lengthy discussion now with the official. Not very heated, but not quite sure what he's looking for in that situation. It was a clean ball played up by Aviza off the head of Mendonça through. Was he potentially offsides? Is that what he's looking for? Maybe. It's the only thing that seems remotely in the realm of possibility.
They can review this too.
Coach Stewart and Coach Bennett a couple of words as well, and I don't think it's about where to get cannolis after the game.
No.
And now the official will head over to talk to the AR and perhaps give whatever input he received from Coach Bennett.
The only thing that I would say from a Providence perspective is DeVoe put that ball in, and he had a wide open net, but it was almost so casual that maybe he thought something might have been up. I can't get into his head, but when you have that point-blank opportunity, you just place the ball in. They need to discuss this, because if it is 2-0 Providence, that's a dagger. I just can't see Marquette coming back from a 2-goal hole at Providence, 4th best defensive team in the Big East, and a team that's seeking their 5th consecutive win.
Yeah, you know, and this has been a lengthy delay now since the goal was scored. Again, it would be Trevor DeVoe, his 4th of the season. Officials continue to discuss this one on the far side. And the initial ball was played back. And there's no way it was offsides. As I was just able to sneak another quick replay on my computer here. I mean, it was a tough ball back from Christian Albello. And again, Perpa still trying to have an animated conversation here with the official. And that's it. It doesn't matter at this point. The goal is good. And we are back to action here at Chappie Field. The Friars on top 2-0. Goals from Espen Wolf and Trevor DeVoe, the difference so far. And now Marquette's going to have to push numbers forward in search of not 1 but 2 goals against a very stingy Providence defense. Here's Espen Wolf in some space near side of the box. Wolf plays it across, but it's knocked out of bounds by Marquez. And that will lead to another Friar corner from the near side. And this time it'll be Danny Griffin with the honors on the near side corner kick for the Friars, their third corner of the game. Excuse me, their fourth corner of the game. There's Wolf now trying to provide a short option. Griffin from the near side. Targets the near post, off to Vok's foot. Turned up by Alba. He's run down by a couple of Friars. Kawasmi still in the mix. Mendonça now trying to get through a trio of Golden Eagles. Perpa plays it out wide, and he has his man Marquez. Switches the point of attack, but a dangerous ball through the midfield. Eventually handled by Patrick Segrist. Segrist wearing the captain's armband for Marquette. Trying to get around Roman. Pass handled by Sunnison. And Roman able to knock it out. Segrist once again now. Trying to get some men in motion here. Decides to go for Sunnison. And now back it comes. Towards the top of the 18, Perpa. Sunnison trying to get, or excuse me, Cone trying to get into a better shooting spot, but awayed by the Friars. DeVoke trying to get there, and one in the air by Villa. Salmeron will leave it all the way back for Albello. And he'll use Cash. Off the foot of Wolf, but kept in by Cash. Vang tracking back. Cash trying to work that end line and does so effectively, earning a corner kick for Marquette. It'll be taken from the near side as Perpa comes over to take the corner. Second corner kick of the game for Marquette today. Across the 6 it comes, headed by Mendonça, but not away. And now Vang will hammer it towards the Providence bench. Another throwing up coming for Gabe Cash and the Golden Eagles. Back against the wall yet again. Familiar spot for Marquette. They found themselves there on Wednesday, needing a big win on the road at DePaul, and they were able to come through. Sunnison, the game winner in that one. Lima couldn't quite break through as Albello was able to swing it out. Segrist now back for Perpa. It's Marquette trying to connect through the midfield. Friars content to have Marquette keep playing it backwards. Making the run, Alba. But the Friars able to take over, and Malcolm Duncan sends it forward. DeVoke knocked down, but play on continues. Cash, time and space to work with. We'll settle it back for Salmeron. Perpa. And now Alba leaves it wide for the captain Segrist. Into the box it comes. Marquette unable to come up with it on the far side. Espen Wolf has it stripped away by Cash. And Villa sends it for Segrist. Cone plays it off square, and Cash making the run. Cash now in towards the 18. Avisa there, just over the head of Sunnison. Dangerous ball into the box that time by Cash. And although Cash didn't start the game, he's been outstanding here this afternoon. The punt overshoots everyone. Stern, as DeVoke got tangled up with Albello. Quick restart here for Marquette. Perpa. Ahead for Cone. Cone spins it on back, has Perpa making the run. Perpa now with some space. And it's knocked back towards the Providence net. An easy pickup for Austin Avisa. And you could feel Marquette putting the pressure on the Friars here. Nearing the midway point of the second half. Serrano will utilize Vang, and all the way back now for Kawasmi. Friars now back in their traditional build-up from the back as Duncan able to find Christopher Roman.
Just a commanding performance right now by the Friars. And they play such a smooth style. That's a foul. And Providence will have it on the reset. They're a complete group. There's just no holes on this team right now. And I'm most impressed by the way they're connected defensively into their attack. You've got several defenders that we've talked about earlier on the show. Serrano and even Lima, he comes up with defensive plays that then play a role in what they do on the run. These Friars just have it all going right now. They're a well-oiled machine.
Yeah, Coach Stewart remarking how they've really come into form, especially in the last couple of games. And, last 4 leading up to this one have all been wins. So we're going to have the super delayed offsides. So we'll give it to Marquette. As they're trying to find the placement of where they want this restart taken from. It's going to be from the near side. And that's just taking more precious time off the clock. Villa now will lay it wide for Segrist. Nice read that time by Malcolm Duncan to disrupt the play, and the Friars will again retake possession here. Lima. As the Friars work it up the far touchline, and they're going to say last touched by Providence. And Segrist whips it in on a quick throw-in for Salmeron. All the way back now, Albello. Puts it to Cash in stride. Cash now on the near side, able to connect with Marquez. And another goal kick upcoming for the Friars. Again, here's where the gamesmanship comes into play. How long will the referee allow it? And well, guess we just found out. He said a very quick whistle on these clock stoppages in the second half, but Vang now apparently needs to come out as he takes a seat on the turf. Friars will make a change. They'll bring Davis Smith, the big 6'7", 205-pound junior, to replace Vang. A solid minutes out of Vang, who was banged up earlier in the first half, battled back, and now having to head back out. Davis Smith presents a large target up front, especially on set pieces for the Friars. Had the opening goal of the season for Providence. Less than a minute into the first game against UMass Lowell. That game seems so long ago, back on August 30th.
And yet the Friars have been so consistent all season long. For the most part, this group, the standard here is to get to the Big East Championship game and come out on top. That's what they are all about. You think about what they did in 2016, the Elite Eight. Big East champions in the regular season. They want to get back on top of that mountain. They're playing like it right now.
Serrano sends it forward. You're right. Some of the seniors here, part of that 2016 run to the Elite Eight. Of course, 2 years prior to that, the Friars in the College Cup. A lot of success under Craig Stewart. And consistency has been the key, not just this season, but in really the last 8 years since he's been here. As Mendonça leaves it off for Griffin. Griffin now accelerates, trying to find a spot, gets into the box. Griffin playing it across and deflected out of bounds by Segrist. And a nice little wiggle there at the top of the box for Danny Griffin, creating something almost out of nothing there.
Danny Griffin, the game goes at his pace. When he is on the ball, he's in total control of where it's heading. Griffin has made a couple of brilliant plays. Had a point-blank look at goal earlier in this game, yet that hasn't stopped him from continuing to knock on the door, and the Friars here looking for the icing on the cake.
Of course, Coach Stewart referring to Griffin as a quality, talented player, fantastic attitude, just such a great team guy. The kick from Serrano to the far post, and Stern able to get a touch on it, but it should be another corner kick. Not sure. He didn't really go for the punch, and he didn't really go for the grab, but at least he got a hand on it this time as Wolf was the target once again on that far post.
For a third straight time. Wolf's the target. If they're able to go in the back post again and find a look, you have to think, what's going on? They've got to be able to stop this back post corner.
The last time from the near side, it was Griffin putting it in towards the near post. This time he goes way past the far post and sent back the other way, just missing the upper 90 and out of play. Tricky little bit there from Ramsey Kawasmi. And Marquette starting to run out of time here, just 18 minutes remaining. Stern again plays it, that short kick. Now we'll have to send it forward where only Serrano was waiting. Griffin trying to settle. Griffin able to use Serrano and now knocks forward. Davis Smith towards the top of the box, has DeVoke as well. And oh boy, really selling that one. Albello has got the slightest nudge from Davis Smith and made it look like he was absolutely wrecked at the top of the box. Now the Friars will take over with Mendonça. Mendonça cuts it back as Segras thought he had the strip. Now the other way, Christopher Roman. Roman cuts it back towards the middle for Mendonça. Mendonça sees Wolf on the outside, lays it off to him. DeVoke now, the help as well. Can Cash come up with it? Yes, he does, but it leads to yet another corner kick for the Friars, their 7th of the game. And, you know, Providence 10th nationally in terms of corners per contest. They average just around 7. They'd only managed 5 the other night against St. John's, but already up to 7 here on the day against Marquette. And again, that number really shows you how much offensive pressure that they are putting on opponents' defenses, and it's coming up again here this afternoon. So it'll be Griffin from the near side. Last time went far post, does so again this time. Smith the target, but headed away by Villa.
You think about this game and a penalty kick stop earlier in this second half to give Marquette some life. João Serrano in the 55th with a golden opportunity to make it 2-0, and Cedric Stern denying him. Stern with a bunch of energy. And at that point, you're thinking, maybe Marquette can find some life in this match. 7 minutes later, Trevor DeVoke capitalizing. Danny Griffin with the assist off a Marquette mistake in the back line. And that's the one area that Marquette's been exploited in this year. They've given up the most goals in the Big East at 30 allowed this season. Providence capitalizing, and Marquette just hasn't been the same team since that second goal went through.
Yeah, and they just haven't been able to be creative enough in the attacking third of the field here today to really generate any quality scoring opportunities. Mendonça with the little tug of the jersey is getting through was Alba, and now they're going to bring it all the way back. As the official letting the advantage play on for a little bit there. And now they'll stop the clock to set the wall.
It's interesting. He let the play on occur, and Marquette still had possession of it just outside the 18. I understand that it was a few seconds after, and then Providence defenders were lurking. Understandable call. There's been a lot of banter in this match.
Certainly has. The officials have been very vocal with players and coaches. So we've got 15-17 left here in the second half.
There's plenty of places on Fed Hill for this type of banter.
That is for certain.
You find something here, though, at the right post, you can get back into it.
Purpa towards the net, and that one just off the mark again. And another one of those examples of Marquette just not able to get a quality touch in the attacking third. There was another good opportunity to try to create something in the 18, but a poor entry pass that time from Luca Purpa, and nothing comes of it for Marquette.
Golden Eagles have just struggled to find any sort of a threat that really gets Providence on the caution. 1 shot on target for Marquette to 5 for Providence. Friars owning a 9-4 advantage in shots, and 7 Providence corners to just 2 for Marquette. And for the Friars, those 7 corners, one of which produced a goal, the other producing a penalty kick. So this team is dangerous on the set pieces.
And Perpa with too obvious of a foul that time on
Frustration.
Mendonça. The arms in the back and then extending out to push him down. And again, all this does is give Providence a chance to milk some more time off the clock. Lima now lifts it towards the 18. Stern off his line and able to get there just before Espen Wolf. And now the rollout for Salmeron. Perpa trying to send it over the defense for Cone. Duncan, a nice win. Roman lifts it for Mendonça. To the far side now. Cone trying to make something happen. Leaves it back for Salmeron. All the way back, Albello. Salmeron again will utilize Gabe Cash. Cash fires it in towards the 18, but too low. It was handled by Wolf. Navoke hit from behind, and another foul on Marquette, their 16th of the match. I'm going to send it down to field level where Megan Caffrey standing by with another update.
Thanks, Mike. Well, for Marquette, they're in this situation where they're facing adversity yet again, and head coach Louis Bennett told us that's kind of been the story of his team this season. I know you mentioned it a little bit earlier, but 21 different players have started over the past 17 games for the Golden Eagles. They haven't really had much consistency in their lineup with injuries, and so they've had to fight through a lot, and Coach Bennett told us he is extremely proud of his continuated fight from his team.
Thank you, Megan. And yes, adversity is certainly a huge part of the picture for Marquette. They were able to battle through it last week, but have run up against a very difficult Providence side here today. So we have another foul in the midfield, sending up a free kick, another opportunity to get something into the 18. It'll be Perpa once again for Marquette. Providence trying to hold the top of the box, and it comes in a glancing header out of bounds, as getting to it first was Leo Villa, but the senior from Green Bay unable to direct it on frame.
You're looking at a lot of these opportunities for Marquette off free kicks, and the thought might be, as the Friars go back to their bench here, this team with some good depth, Kevin Vang coming back on, this time for Danny Griffin, who's been impressive today. And you might be thinking, where's that shot on target? Where's that header that's finding its way through? Well, here's the thing. Providence's anticipation defensively is something that can't be forgotten. They do a great job of keeping you at a certain angle so that you can't get that shot off a header.
Yeah, Friars have been basically one step ahead of Marquette in the final third of the field today. Here's Lima now, able to win the battle, plays it up ahead to Voke on the run with his speed. Cash trying to track back on him. DeVoke now will wait for reinforcements. Has Wolf a shot! Hit aside by Stern. Now Lima the chance and a goal! Paulo Lima might have just secured the date with St. John's. Another goal for the sophomore from Lisbon. Lima, his 7th of the season. And the Friars will keep on dancing here today with 12 minutes left in the second half.
What a performance by Providence, and they've gotten their ultimate reward time and again. Paulo Lima's activity on both ends of the field in both final thirds has been spectacular. And another cross laid off to Lima, and a sensational season continues. His team-high 7th goal. That one fell to his foot. He had Marquette in a scramble, and Mike, we've come to know this season, when Paulo Lima can, he does.
Yeah, certainly another big-time goal. Lima, who scored, I believe, in the last 4 or 5 games now, has just really come on in the second half of the season. Such a special talent for Craig Stewart and his side. And now with Marquette continuing to press forward, the Friars with some chances at some counterattacks, but DeVoke getting caught in the offside trap that time as Davis Smith tried to play it through. So Espen Wolf picks up the assist on the goal. It was a great initial save made by Stern on the bid from Wolf, but nobody staying with Lima, and another free shot inside the 18 for the Friars. And just remember, this one could have been a little bit worse, as well as get a missed penalty kick by João Serrano. Smith able to hold up Cash, and let's see which direction they're going to give it to the Friars. Thought for a moment they were going to call it against Smith against Cash in that situation, but Friars will have another restart now with just under 11 to play.
Oh, is this setting up quite the theater in Big East men's soccer? A year in which the league has raised the bar. One team that's been a surprise in the conference and across the country, St. John's. But the one thorn in the Red Storm side still is this Providence program. That was nearly a great look for Griffin.
Yeah, Trevor DeVoke there at the top of the box, nearly able to break free and just had it glance off of his foot. But again, with Marquette having to take more chances, you have to think that the Friars might have another one in them. They're not shy about some late goals. They had a couple against Xavier last weekend, too, in the final 8 minutes of the game to come from behind and earn the number 3 seed in this tournament. That was a huge moment as DeVoke now works it on the end line, tries to pop it in and just over the crossbar. As DeVoke getting a little fancy down there over Stern. Stern yelling something at the AR, but nothing there for Marquette.
And here's Tristan Stoll in his 6th game of the year, getting some minutes here down the stretch.
Stoll, another one of those players honored on senior night this past Wednesday, the redshirt junior, part of the original senior class that'll be graduating in May.
You said it earlier, St. John's has not beaten Providence in 10 years. And that continued earlier this week.
And that's included multiple games in the same season. As you mentioned, last year they met in the Big East tournament. Providence came out on top. Providence had won the regular season matchup there as well. And of course, Providence really dominating St. John's. It was kind of a surprising domination this past Wednesday night. It just seemed like St. John's a little bit out of sync, and perhaps that was trying to overcome the mental prospects of already having wrapped up a bye. They've already wrapped up the number 2 seed. Nothing would have changed for them. And sometimes it's hard to get out of that headspace and take care of business on the road when you know Providence wanted to show up and bring their best against a top 10 nationally ranked team.
If you're Dave Mazur, you don't want to give away everything your team does. So you want to hide some things because you know you might see them again. And perhaps that was part of the feeling resonating with St. John's. Although, here's the thing with St. John's. No matter what the circumstances are, they're always going to outwork their opponents. That's the way that they play. They just have such a high work rate, the standard that they require their players to be at. So that's why the 2-0 win for Providence very well secured an at-large berth in the NCAA tournament. This one, I think, solidifies it even more. After today, the Providence Friars can feel good about those at-large chances. And now, just 180 minutes away from a Big East championship. And the first part of that comes against a team in St. John's, who they just got done beating 2-0.
Yeah, and again, you know, yes, looking ahead towards the NCAA tournament, perhaps Friars in after a win like this, but you know they have that Big East title on their mind, and you know they did lose to Georgetown on the road, but there was a penalty kick that could have been called in the final 2 minutes of that one as Davis Smith skies up to connect with that one. And you know the Friars nearly able to tie things up in the 88th minute down in D.C. So they're not scared of St. John's. They're not scared of Georgetown. They're really not scared of anybody, this Providence team, and could be quite a handful for anyone that has to play them down the stretch. Coach Stewart able to make a couple more changes here late in the game. Trevor DeVoke checks off as they bring in Matt DePero, another one of those redshirt juniors, his 5th appearance of the season. Does have an assist this year. 6 career goals as well. And always nice to get some players that have really gone through the program, contributed minutes, both in practice sessions and in other games, and to get them a chance to play in the Big East tournament, a nice moment and a nice move by Coach Stewart.
There's still a different mentality, though, just to put a sense of closure on the subject. When you have to enter a championship game, and last year Marquette had to at Georgetown with the thought of, it's win and you're in, lose your season's over. Providence no longer has that feeling. Sometimes that allows you to play even more loosely on the big stage and allows you to be the true version of yourselves. The Friars have done enough to feel good about an at-large berth in the NCAA tournament. This Providence team is a dangerous squad capable, I think, of a Sweet 16 Elite 8 run.
Yeah, when they get going, such a tough out, and you know down the stretch you look at what they've been able to do. This will be their 5th consecutive win, and all of those games within the conference, which has been one of the best conferences in the entire nation. As Segrist now tries to pop one towards the net, and Avisa there for the Friars, the safe answer. He'll cuddle with the ball for a few moments here and restart things with just over 5 minutes remaining in the second half. Friars today getting goals from Roman, Lima, and of course Espen Wolf. There's another collision in the middle of the field. Davis Smith involved, and wow, they're going to show Smith a card here. A little bit surprised there on the yellow shown to Davis Smith. The yellow nonetheless, as we've seen a bunch of cards on both sides. Up ahead it comes now, Cone. 5 minutes left. Will hold for Segrist, now turns it back, tries to put it on net, but a little light one bouncer into the midsection of Austin Avisa. And I guess officially that'll go down as another shot on goal. That'll be the second for Marquette. And how about these numbers? The last 2 games, St. John's and Marquette have only mustered a total of 5 shots on goal combined. This Providence defense has been in lockdown mode down the stretch in this season. Segrist now trying to work on the far side, stared down by Gage Raftery. Now Perpa playing in what will be his final game for Marquette. And over for Segrist also in his final game. And you know, it's not the way these two wanted to go out, and the rest of the senior class as well, but have run into basically a buzzsaw in the Friars. Davis Smith now, he's taken down and will earn the call as Salmeron took him down from behind. The Friars can take a little bit more time off the clock as they set up for the restart.
And for Marquette, still a young team. Think about Son, who's part of a sophomore class with Salmeron. You got a couple of seniors who you lose in Perpa and Alba who have meant so much to this program. But your keeper's only a sophomore in Stern. They've got a couple of second-year players who they can really feed off of going forward. And Christian Marquez is only a freshman as well. So they've been able to pass the torch to a degree. A good senior class that they lose. But I think that the bricks have been laid for them to continue to carry this success moving forward. For them to qualify for the Big East tournament also said a lot.
Yeah, again, with all these younger guys getting that experience, battling through a ton of adversity and earning their spot here in the top 6 of the Big East. Certainly no small feat as the Friars, perhaps with one last counter in them. Davis Smith will lay it off for Raftery, and he's going to be met by Leo Villa, who sends it out of play. Friars will make a couple more changes. Gil Santos returns. Espen Wolf will head out. And also in Garrett King, just his second appearance of the season. The redshirt sophomore from Scarborough, Maine. He'll replace Davis Smith. Of course, the clock will stop under 5 here with a winning team substituting. And Smith makes his way off. It's the handshake from Coach Stewart. And now the Friars with a chance inside the box, knocked away by Villa. Santos has it knocked out by Segrist. Looks like Raftery will have the throw for Providence. He'll target Santos, who works towards that corner flag. Can't quite get through the double team that time as Segrist and Cone are able to shut down Santos. Mendonça off the top of his shoulder. And Griffin lays it off for Raftery. Raftery now has it poked out by Segrist. And the Friars continue to lock Marquette down deep. Here's Griffin, who is hauled down by, or nearly hauled down, as not quite time for the exchange of jerseys yet, but apparently the Danny Griffin one, a popular one. Here is Raftery playing it off of Segrist. And it'll be another corner kick with about 95 seconds left.
Well, Creighton and Butler tonight at Fortress Morrison with Georgetown awaiting that winner. A lot of rematches. We could get a Creighton-Georgetown rematch in D.C., just like earlier this week when the Jays found a way to draw the Hoyas. Critical draw for Johnny Torres' group. And now we'll have a rematch in the semis. Providence, St. John's, Wednesday, Belson Stadium. Doesn't get much better in this league.
Serrano, the low corner, turned aside by Segrist. Lima. Leave it back now for Griffin. Final minute here. It's Big East first round game. The Friars will emerge victorious. They have one more left in them. Is cutting through the 18 with Serrano, but Lima a little bit too heavy on the touch.
You've had this team throughout the season. How deep do you think they can go?
I think St. John's going to have to bring their A game, which we did not see on Wednesday. So I'll be curious to see if St. John's could step it up. But certainly think that depending on the matchups, should they make the tournament in that either as the Big East champion or as an at-large bid, you know, I think the sky's kind of the limit. When Providence is on, they are on. And I think they're a tough out for any team in the country. That's the kind of program Craig Stewart has built here in Friartown as we get another foul. Griffin tangled up with Salmeron, but it's 10 seconds left here. In what has been another impressive showing by the Friars. So the final seconds tick off from here at Chappie Field. The Friars advance to the Big East semifinals, virtue of their 3-0 win over Marquette. They'll take on St. John's this Wednesday after getting goals from Espen Wolf, Paolo Lima, and Trevor DeVoke. Another shutout for Austin Avisa, his 8th of the year, the team's 10th of the season. The Friars will move on to the next round. So we're going to step aside for just a few moments. We'll be back with more from Chappie Field here at Anderson Stadium. This is the Big East Digital Network, presented by SoFi.
It's time to fuel your ambitions by taking charge of your student debt. At SoFi, we've helped over 250,000 people refinance their student loans, saving thousands of dollars. Now you can pay off your student loans faster and reach your goals sooner. See how much you can save in just 2 minutes at SoFi.com/save.
Big cities. Big names. Big legacies. Big sisters and brothers. Big ideas. Big expectations. Big stage. Big results. That's the Big East way.
Hallelujah.
And this is just one night. You should see what we do during the day. Marquette University. Be the difference.
And welcome back to Friartown. Providence College knocking off Marquette 3-0 in the opening round of the Big East tournament. Time to send it down to field level where Megan Caffrey is standing by with the freshman Espen Wolf.
Thanks, Mike. Espen, your team has now won your 5th straight match. How are you peaking at the perfect moment?
I think we just got a good team spirit going. Our performances have just been better and better. Today I actually thought first half we didn't hit maybe the level we've been at these past couple games, but we found a way to get it done, and yeah, I'm very happy for the team.
Your goal today was the second straight match that you've scored a goal in. What's been clicking for you offensively?
I think I've just been more calm in those situations. Yeah, just saw the ball come in and just had to connect with it, and I did, so yeah, I'm happy.
Esben, your team is headed back to Queens on Wednesday to face St. John's in the semifinals. You just faced them, beating them. What are you looking forward to with this rematch?
It's a great matchup. They're a good team. Yeah, I think we got a lot of belief in our team. I think our group has really come together in the right moment now, and yeah, we just gotta keep pushing, and yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you so much. Good luck and congratulations.
Thank you.
And thank you, Megan. That was Megan Caffrey with Espen Wolf. The game-winning goal here today. Again, the Friars come out on top. 3-0 goals from Espen Wolf, Trevor DeVoke, and Paulo Lima in that order. They'll take on St. John's this coming Wednesday. John, how about some final thoughts?
A complete performance by the Friars. They established possession. We talked about it in the open. Who could impose their style? Marquette, a quick-paced team, very active in their approach. Providence silenced that Golden Eagles offense, and they went at it offensively themselves with purposeful looks in the box. When they get into the 18, Mike, I'm impressed by their patience. I'm impressed by their poise. They don't rush in their approach. This team has it all going for them right now. They're versatile offensively, as we saw with Wolf, DeVoe, and Paulo Lima capping it off. Providence looks the part of an NCAA tournament at-large team, in my opinion, and they are marching on to the Big East semifinals for what is the rematch, in my mind, in the Big East, just because of how amazing St. John's has been this season with 13 wins. And now the Friars, who beat them 2-0, have to go to Belson, which is a different monster from hosting the Johnnies. A lot of intrigue to that showdown, but one thing's for certain. Providence, you do not want to run into a team right now that has this type of versatility offensively, that has this type of defense, and that has now won 5 in a row, and in that span, outscoring their opponents 12-3. That is a complete unit.
I have to say I agree with you completely, John, as the Friars improved to 13-5 on the year. Marquette falls to 8-9-1. That'll pretty much do it for us here at Chappie Field in Anderson Stadium in Providence. On behalf of our entire hardworking Big East Digital Network crew, my partner John Fanta, and of course Megan Caffrey with all those updates from field level, I'm Mike Mancuso saying goodbye from Friartown.